Okay. All right. So for this workshop, it's gonna be like maybe like 30 minutes. I don't want to like bore you guys of just boring basic soldering stuff. So I'm just gonna like tell it like very brief overview and like protection and everything. And then in the second half, maybe after like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, I'm going to send us off to the labs, and then you'll get a kit, and then you'll do soldering stuff there. Okay. Let me make sure with them real quick, though, if I can start. All right. All right. Hi, everyone. I am Maggie. I am a part of Hyperloop. Yeah. And I mean, I think a lot of you guys seen my workshops, maybe. I don't know. I see a lot of new faces today, so I don't know. But anyways, yeah. Let's go. All right. So the first thing we're gonna learn is like how to solder, like the basic of soldering and everything. So there are three types of soldering. There is through holes. Have you guys heard of through holes? Right? Where you put the component through the actual board and solder it. There's SMD, which is like surface mount. Surface mount D. Don't know what D stands for. I know what SMA is. There's like different ones, like SMD, SMA, SMP. Like there's like multiple ones. I just don't. I get confused which one is which. But when you see surface mount, it's just SMD. So that one is when the copper plate is just soldered on top of the first layer or the bottom layer, right? So it's either the top or the bottom. And so this one is SMD, where it's the soldering the whatever the flux, not the flux, the solder. What is it called? Like the thing that you melt it on. It's on the top, and then the through holes you get it on out, goes outside the board, right? And then there's wire soldering, which is like you solder multiple connections together. Like when you twist like three cables together and then you put it to one. That's called wire soldering. So who has done through holes? All right, cool. SMD? No one's done SMD? All right, so on the board, there's only one SMD component, so you'll learn how to do it, and I'll teach you guys how to do that. And in the workspace, especially if you're like electrical, you will do SMD component soldering, and it's a lot harder than what we're gonna do today. Today is like fairly easy because it's pretty big, right? And then wire soldering, has anyone done that? A lot of people have done that, right? Yeah, okay. We won't do any of this today. So the only one we're going to be doing is through hole and SMD. Right? So there's multiple ways of soldering, but there's like a bad way and a like good way of soldering your connections, right? So can somebody tell me why this might be a bad connection? Yeah, there's a gap. It's not fully covered, right? You want to see, you guys know Hershey's Kisses, like the kiss. You want it to have that bell shape or that triangle shape, that dome shape, right? So when you're soldering in the lab, try to have it this type of shapes. When you have like a circle, sometimes it causes it to be like flickable, meaning that sometimes I can come to it and I can literally flick it and the solder will like pop out. Those are called cold joints. Right? And so you don't want too much solder, but also you don't want too little solder. But also, if you notice between these two, the good things is that it's very smooth, right? It's not like jank looking like this. And you don't want a raggedy looking solder. You want a smooth connection so the solder is like actually stuck onto there. All right, here's another good one. So again, we want the Hershey's Kiss, the triangle, right? And so what is wrong with this one? I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? Yeah, it's not connected to the actual board. So when you want your solder, when you solder a through hole, you want it to actually like sink through the PCB. So what about this one and this one? Why are they so bad? It's connected, right? That means that you could get two signals messed up and your board will get messed up. And then you'll be like, why is my board not working? But yeah, right. So just rule of thumb, just try to do the Hershey's Kiss. All right. And same thing, you want it a smooth connection where it's like flat, right? If you have something like that, like I said, you can literally flick it off and it'll fall out. Not specifically that one, because that one looks like it's like in, but sometimes it might look like it's soldered connection, but within like a few days you're handling with it and then you like hit it on the table or something, right? It could like fly off or it can disconnect. It could crack the actual solder. All right. So these are the two links. I don't know if they send it out in the Discord, but these are the links for the soldering iron kit. So we're gonna be using this one, this solder iron, and this comes in the first kit. I recommend if you have the money to not buy this kit because the solder and the components inside this kit is not that good. If you have like a little bit more money, maybe like 20, 30 extra dollars, which is kind of a lot because I can get like 5 cups of boba. But you can buy like this one, which is a lot better. And it makes life easier for you because instead of like having to plug in your solder, turn it on like right here, you can just like connect it right here, just switch it onto the board, everything. It's a lot faster. I like this one better, but like it's really expensive. So, but I also have that one, so it's okay. All right, so solder. So the solder that we're gonna use is a 6040 tin lead flux core solder, meaning that inside the actual solder, you will have a bit of flux. And have you guys heard of what flux is? So flux is a material that it helps heat up the area. Because how solder works is that if you touch a metal part or the hot part, it melts everything else. It's like water, right? So if I were, let's say this whole board right here is solder, and I put my hot iron right here, the whole thing starts to melt, and it all connects together. So if you have two, like let's say you have a bad solder tip, and I touch it right here, and you see that nothing, it's still cold, whatever. You put flux on top of it, and the material of the flux will like even out the amount of heat that's going onto the solder. So, and then it makes it a lot easier, but it gets pretty dirty and you also don't want to sniff it and you don't want to like touch it and put your hands in your mouth because lead is also dangerous and it could kill you. Yes.
They all make you stupider. Just too much.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That's also another thing is you want to wear a mask, but I don't wear a mask when I solder because I'm like I'm done. But you can wear a mask if you want to protect your face and your inhaling and exhaling. You don't want to breathe in the fumes that come with the solder, right? A lot of times in the lab, they have like ventilation rooms. I think we're gonna talk about this, but in the lab, we don't have enough of these boxes. So one of these boxes, I think, is like $50. And what it does is you turn it on and you're doing the soldering and the flow of the smoke will go through and then out and it will just go in the sky or in the room or wherever you're ventilating rather than like if I'm working right here, it's like going up my nose. I'm the freaking fan at this point. Right. So this becomes a fan for you. This is a fan and it will blow it away. Right. About tinning the tip. So what this is it's basically a cleaner, right? You're gonna give your iron, the tip of the iron, like basically like a shower, and you're gonna clean the top. What you're gonna do? You're gonna plug in the iron, and then you're gonna just dip a little bit on here, and then there's like a metal sponge that you will just like clean it off, like you're just scrubbing off the old iron or the old solder, right? And this just cleans it, but you don't want to use too much of it. So if you put too much, it might it basically every time you give it a shower, it gets older and older, right? So try not to do it too much. I like to do it every time like I just turn on my iron. Like the first time I use it, then I clean it, and then right before I like put it away, I clean it as well. Right? Usually during the times where you need to clean it, I just like put it inside these sponges and just the metal sponges and just scrape the poop out of it to get all the solder out. All right. Oh, so this is the flux that we were talking about earlier. There's multiple types of flux. There is the paste one, and then there is the marker one. This is normally for like SMD components. SMD components are usually good for the pen because then you can accurately like aim it at where you want it to be. This flux is a little harder, the paste one, because you actually have to scrape it off, put it on the board, right? So it's a lot more or a lot less accurate. But there's also one more type of flux that I did not put in here, which is the liquid flux. And the liquid flux, you like it's like you get a tube and you suck it out of the tube. I don't know if you guys did it in like chemistry where you suck the liquid in like a what is it called? The squeezers?
Pipette?
Yeah, the pipette. And then you put it on the board, but it gets everywhere and you have to clean it. It's a mess. But yeah, I don't think we have any flux today. What's up?
What is the nose cleaning?
The what?
The nose cleaning? That's no cleaning.
Honestly, I don't even know.
Is that meant for like not cleaning anything?
It doesn't like clean. I mean, like it's very messy. Flux in general is very messy. So I think that means that you don't have to clean it because if you use the paste, for example, right? You take a scoop out of it and you put it on and you solder on it, it literally melts everywhere. But with this one, it's not like you're scooping like a chunk of, paste, but you're just tapping it and then you just solder onto it. So which is what I think it means by no cleaning, you really don't have to clean it. Because if you use the flux, the paste, you actually have to use like alcohol and rub it after. It makes an indent on your board. And if you burn it too much, it actually burns the solder, like or not the solder, the flux onto your board and you have to clean it. So yeah. All right. Desoldering tools. So how this one works is let's say if you solder your components wrong, right? You put let's say you put a 10K resistor instead of a 1K, right? So how is it? Are you like, is your board done? Like, are you, what do you do? So what you could do is you could use these two tools, and you can, how it works. Which one do you guys want to learn first? We're gonna use this one mainly today, so we can learn this one first. Okay, we'll learn this first. So how this one works is that basically it's a pump, right? So you're gonna melt the iron on the specific component that you want to like remove and melt that solder, and then you're gonna pump the desoldering wick. No, the solder pump, the vacuum. I wish I had it for you right now. It would be very useful if I had it. But basically, at first, it's gonna be out like this, and then you're gonna push it in, and that's when the thing is vacuuming, or it's not vacuuming yet. And then you put it. So let's say you have the component, and it's soldered, and it's hot now. One hand is holding the solder, and it's hot. The other hand is you're gonna hold that thing, and you're gonna press the button so that once you press that button, it sucks up all the solder into the actual tubing of here. So it's honestly a lot of pain to clean that thing because there's like no way to open it, and you just have to just shake it out, and it just falls out. I don't know. It's low-key a pain. I hate using that thing, but yeah, a lot of people like using it. It'll make more sense once I show you in person because I don't have the components right now. And then the desoldering wick, this one is what you're gonna do is you have the solder, right? And then you're getting your iron and you're basically like putting it on top. You're like you're trying to wrap the old solder onto this board, onto this like wire, and it's conductive to the solder. So it's trying to get on it when you're melting it on. Yeah. Yeah, I want to show you. Maybe I'll show you guys like in person in the lab because I don't think that explanation kind of explains it very well. But okay, anyways. So helping hands. What helping hands are is they're basically used to help you because they're helping hands. They're basically hands, right? And so this is the cheap one that we're gonna use today in the lab. And if you want to put your board on there and solder, it's very easy to do so, but sometimes it tips over because of, this base is very small and all this is very heavy on the top, right? So this is the more expensive one. This is the bigger plate one and it's very sturdy actually. And you can clip it onto your thing like that, but honestly, with our boards that we're going to be using today, you probably won't need it. Just because it's one board and all the components is very easy to like just snap onto place and everything. So I don't think you need to, but we'll have it out for you guys just if you guys want to try it out or something. And heat shrink. Has anyone done this before? Heat shrinking? Yeah. So yeah, you do everything. Yeah. But basically when you earlier I talked about the three types of soldering, and the third one is the wiring, right? So let's say you have one wire and you connect it like this and you solder it right here. You don't want this connection to be like laying around, right? Where you can like step on it or like it can detangle, whatever. So what you can do is you can get one of these heat shrinks, and cover it. And when you cover it, it's gonna melt if you use the heat gun. So it like shrinks down when heat is applied, right? And it's really helpful. And I recommend if you do like multiple connections with wires to use it so you can protect your wiring. Okay, so soldering safety. All right, let's see. Okay, so everyone has to wear like good attire, but I think you're not wearing closed shoes. Yeah, so I think it'll be fine, but I mean, I don't know. Hopefully we don't get in trouble for that. But if you ever do it, it's just good protection too. Have your shoes closed. Oh, guys and girls has to have their hair back. It's okay if you don't, to be honest, but it's fine. I like to put my hair up because I don't want my hair to like fall into the freaking solder, like, and the burning smell of hair like does not smell good. So, but I don't think no, it smells like really bad. But anyways, so one of the things that you have to be careful. Okay, so when you're soldering, sometimes the solder like splashes back on you, but not like like that, but like it literally like gets on your finger. Like when you're holding it like this, like close, whatever, sometimes it splashes onto your finger, and sometimes it's a clear type of liquid that's splashing onto your finger. And that thing is like really painful because it's like super hot, but you can flick it off or like get it off, but just be careful for it. It doesn't happen that often, but when it does, it burns a lot. And you want to always assume that the solder is hot, even if, let's say, like the solder is unplugged and laying on the table. You don't know when it was just unplugged, right? It could have been unplugged like literally a second ago when you turned around, or it has been there for a while. You don't know. So always assume it's hot, and just be careful. What I like to do is, say if this is the iron, I like to just put my hand like kind of close to it and like don't like grab it, right? So you just put it next, see the area around the heat area around you. Yeah, over thin your iron before using it, right? Before and after. I like to do after, it's not required, but oh yeah. And assume your iron is hot at all times. Clearly that one is very, very important, right? All right. So can anyone tell me what is wrong with this lady right here? Right? So this one is where you literally like burn and so yeah, very stock photo. Yeah, so don't do that. And you want to hold it right here, right? Alright, so you want to hold it at the spot where it's not hot. Oh, there you go. All right, soldering safety. So yeah, so earlier she was holding at this part, and you can see like it's kind of dark, meaning that it's been used and all the heat from the metal is like burning it, right? Because it's very hot. Can someone guess how hot the iron, how we put it? Yeah. Is it Celsius or Fahrenheit? I think it's Celsius too. Maybe it's so. No, it might be Fahrenheit. I don't know. It's one of those. It's 400 something. But yeah. All right. So always hold the iron where it's supposed to be held. So I think it's like silicone or plastic. And that's where you hold it.
Yeah, that's in Celsius.
Celsius? Okay, yeah. That's really hot then. Yeah, that's really hot. All right, anyways. So the cable that's from the solder that you guys are gonna be using, it's pretty short, but since you're at the lab tables, it's like enough space for you guys to like move around with it. But don't like wave it around, It's hot. That would not be good. So when you're not using it, there's a switch, so you don't have to just unplug it, just turn off the switch when you're not using it. Like you need to go to the restroom or something, or if you need help and you need to come and wait for one of us, just turn it off. It doesn't take that long to turn it back on. Like it doesn't take a long time to heat up again. So you guys should be good. Ventilate the area, meaning that just don't put your nose up to the solder and sniff it, just let it flow in the air. Yeah. All right. Oh, what is this? Oh. So this kit, actually you won't need it. You won't need to stare at the LED, but there's one LED in this kit today. So I mean if you want to stare at it, it's fine. But the previous kits, it was like when we made it, it was like I think we used 18 LED lights. And what it did was it like kept cycling over and over. So it was really bright. So it like could honestly hurt your eyes. Oh, it's supposed to be 4, but ignore that. So this is Blinky Learner 4. There is no Blinky. I don't know why we call it. I think it's because every workshop is Blinky Learner 1, 2, 3. And there's no LED lights on here, but we just called it 4 just to call it 4. And basically what this one does, so it's the same one as last semester. Did anyone go to last semester? Was this you? Yeah. Oh, okay. So last semester, well, she's the only one that I guess knows, but if you want to help everyone around, they need help. But it's a cool circuit. Here is the PCB. Can someone guess what it might be? Yeah, it's a calculator. You're right. It's a calculator. But yeah, so basically when completed, you want it to be like playing music. And last semester, somebody like knew how to play the piano and they were like playing songs or whatever. And I was like, hey, that's so cool. But I don't play piano. So does anyone play piano here? I can teach you guys. Was it you? Huh? I think it was you actually. Were you playing it last year? I think, yeah, I was playing a few songs in there. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So I guess you could teach us. But yeah, I think that's the end of the slides. But any questions? It's oh actually hold on. There is there's no audio, thank God. But I basically did this in 26 minutes. So if you guys are beginner, it might take you 2 times as long. But at the same time, I was really distracted because this was in the lab room and it's muted because everyone's like screaming in the lab. So I didn't want you guys to hear that. And so there's no like there's no right or wrong way to assemble the board. But if you guys want to follow the way that I did it, like specific ones. Oh no, hold on. Like I did, okay, so specifically you do want to start with the SMD component first. Like no matter what, start with the SMD component. And then if you want to follow the way I did everything else, oh yeah, you could like follow along with it. If not, you could like explore on your own and see like, because if you put one component in, it might like be very difficult to put the next component. So you kind of have to know which way, like which is the right path, like first, second, third, you know. But yeah, you can explore it if you want and see and mess up, you know, so you can see where you went wrong, where you didn't. So yeah. And then I'll show, I think I can do a live demo of this one. So let me just tell you guys how to do this one. So the SMD component, nobody's done it, right? Nobody's done it. So what you want to do is, so on the plate itself, oh my God, hold on. Let me see. See how it has, so this is the component that's going into here, right? These are the copper plate, or is it, I guess it's copper, but I think it is copper, but it's the copper plates that is basically there for you to solder onto and put the component on. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna put a little bit of solder onto the board first. And how you're gonna do that is you take the iron, let's say this is iron, you tap it onto the board, right? And do you guys know what happens when you put heat on like a board or heat on a wire? What happens to that wire? It does not melt. Maybe the what's it called? The encasing melts. But what happens is the whole wire gets hot, right? Yeah, if you put like heat on one side of the wire, the whole wire gets hot. Yeah, it's just conductive, right? So when you put the iron right here, the whole plate that's rectangle is gonna be hot. So when you tap your iron, you want to tap the solder onto the iron. And once that touches, it should melt onto the whole plate. All right. Let me see if it's in here. Let's see. Let's see if I eat or not. Let me see. I think it's right. I can't really see it. Right. You see how I just like placed it onto the solder onto like the SMD component? That's basically how you're gonna do it, right? And let's say after you do all four, what do you do? Oh, that's me adjusting. Lol. So what I'm gonna do, or can someone guess what I'm gonna do next? Huh?
You just put it on.
Yeah. And
You let it dry.
yeah, so right when you let go of the iron, it dries right away. Like it doesn't.
Oh.
So like right when you let go of the iron, the melt is gone. It's like
So
holds
you
up.
put it on and then you put it up, and then-
Yeah. So yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the component onto it and just start tapping around the iron, like the solder onto that board already, right? So let's see. I think there will be tweezers, maybe. So I touch the board. And you see how like it melted the whole solder? And then I'm just gonna, if I can do it, come on. I just put it onto there. And, I'm not eating. There you go. Okay. And that should be like onto there. And then you could see that I also touched the other ones. I don't know if you guys can see. I don't know if you guys saw that, but here, if you look carefully, you can actually see the solder melt. I don't know if you guys saw it, but let's see. It's right here, right? Ah, did I not do it? There we go. Oh, that one shows it pretty well. The last one. But you can see it's like the water liquid is like jiggly. I don't know. I don't know, that's like a good way to describe it. But it's like jiggly and you kind of, yeah, right? And I just like touch it up a little bit. And then for the through holes component, let's see. So there are some components that have polarity. And so capacitors have polarity. What else has polarity? Diodes, what else? That's it. I guess LED lights are diodes, right? So look carefully at the actual component and then look on the board. I also placed it on the board as well, the plus and minus. So I think I demonstrated here. Oh, yeah. And then on the, oh, you see how I have the plus and minus right there? So just like, and what you're gonna do with the through holes is if you just leave it like that, it's very hard to solder. So you're gonna bend the wires out so it stays flat. Like you're basically like clamping it on there. So I'm gonna clamp it. Oh, I think I'm gonna put the other components too. So these capacitors will be the hardest to solder. Like just because how close they are to each other. If you look at how close they are. Hey. Oh, what am I doing now? I do now.
Yeah, it's like,
Oh, I put all of them. So if you look at it, it's very close, right? Compared to like these are the buttons or these are the resistors, they're very far apart. Or like even this right here, they're all very far apart. So this one you have to be very careful not to short them, where we connect the two together, right? So be very careful with those capacitors. But I think everything else. Wait, let me do a good one where I think this one. Okay. So I'm doing the the resistors right now. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my iron onto here and let it heat up this whole hole, all right? And then I'm gonna get the solder and just tap it onto my iron and then it let go and it should melt into like the hole. Okay, and I think you should be able to see that here. So oh, not with that one. It's a little Aqua Taco. All right, I think I do it here. So you place it onto it. Oh, am I using the old solder? Okay, this is not a good example. Can you go back? Let's see. All right, there you go. Yeah, that was pretty good. So I do it kind of fast, but you place it on. Okay, not that one. I touch. Okay. I touch the hole and then put it through, and it should melt onto it. Did I skip a whole hole? Oh, oh. Wait, let me see if I did it. Let me see. That's so funny because this button wasn't working. And I was like, why is it not working? And I didn't have time to like debug it. Oh, well, I think I figured out why. So yeah, so just, tap onto it and then tap the iron. Sometimes it gets annoying, but one of the biggest reasons why this was not going very well is because this tip is way too small for that solder. Like if you look at it, that solder is very fat. Like very fat, like way too fat. But we can't discriminate, so we have to use it. Let me see. Let me go back. But yeah. Is it gonna show me the solder? Like look how big that thing is compared to like the actual like the one you guys are gonna be using is like this size. Look how big it is. Like it's super big. So that's why I was having a really hard time. But I think we have flux ones, the one I showed you guys earlier. So yeah, it should be very easy. And would you guys like this video or no?
Mm.
Yeah? Okay.
Very useful.
Are you guys in the Discord? Okay, so I'll post it in the Discord, to make it easier and you guys can look over it. Okay, I guess that's it. Let me call them, and then we'll start bringing everyone to the room, and then you guys could start practicing soldering and everything. Alright. Thanks, I'm super cool. Alright, you can go first. Oh my god. I'm just kidding, you guys can all go. Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation.
Don't touch your face when you're using solder. Oh yeah, touch it. Just lick your finger. Yeah, just clean your fingers with your mouth.